All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. Episode 234. Man, have we got something interesting to dig into today. OpenAI. They just dropped some news that's got the tech world buzzing, right, Jenny?
Oh, you know it, Mark. My inbox has been pinging non-stop. This isn't just another model update. It feels like they're really pushing the boundaries again with this O4 model and something called Codex CLI. It sounds like they're trying to get AI even more integrated into how developers actually work.
Exactly. And the big talk is about this O4-Mini version. Don't let the mini name fool you. The chatter suggests it's punching way above its weight, especially when it comes to coding and even, wait for it, math.
Math? So it's not just about writing code anymore? That's a new wrinkle. I always think of these models as being good with language and programming, but less so with pure logic and numbers.
Well, that's one of the surprising bits. Based on what we're seeing, the O4-Mini is putting up some serious numbers on the AIME math test, like north of 92% accuracy. That's getting into territory where it can handle some pretty complex mathematical reasoning.
Okay, 92% on a math test? That time's surprising. But let's bring it back to code for a second, since that's really their bread and butter. How does O4-Mini stack up against the big players like GitHub Copilot or even Claude Code?
Good question. On the SWE bench coding benchmark, which is kind of the standard for testing how well these models can fix bugs and implement features, O3, the previous model, was doing about 69%. The O4-Mini is right in that same ballpark, maybe a tiny bit under, depending on the specific test run, around 68 to 69%. But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's not just about the raw coding accuracy on a benchmark. The big shift they're talking about is the agentic workflow. Remember how we've talked about AIs using tools? This O4-Mini seems designed from the ground up to select and use tools like code interpreters, file operations, even browsing the web, all on its own to solve a problem.
Right, so it's not just spitting out code, it's figuring out how time to get to the solution by breaking it down and using different functions or tools available to it. That's a different ballgame than just predictive text for code.
Exactly. Think of it less like a superpowered autocomplete and more like a junior developer who can figure out which command line tool or script they need to run to test or debug something. And that's where the Codex CLI seems to fit in, though details are a little sparse right now.
So, the Codex CLI? It's sort of the command line interface specifically designed for this agentic model to interact with the developer's environment. Like, instead of just pasting code, the AI could potentially runtime that code or interact with files through this tool?
That's the implication. If the model is truly agentic and can use tools, a dedicated CLI makes perfect sense. It would allow for real-time code iteration, running tests, perhaps even deploying small changes directly from the terminal based on the AI's output. It feels more integrated, less copy-paste.
Okay, I can see the potential there. A developer is working, they use the AI, and the AI suggests a fix. But instead of just giving them the code, it says, okay, I'll run this test for you with this change using the CLI, and it just does it. That could smooth out a lot of friction.
Right, it's moving towards that vision of an AI pair programmer that's not just suggesting code, but actively participating in the development loop. And comparing it to something like GitHub Copilot, which is phenomenal for code completion and suggestions, this agentic approach feels like the next evolution. It's about the workflow, not just the code output.
So Copilot is great at helping you write code faster, while O4-Mini with Codex CLI aims to help you solve problems faster by using tools and iterating. That's a useful distinction. And what about Claude Code? We've heard good things about its context window and reasoning for code.
Claude has been strong, definitely in the mix for code understanding and generation, often with larger context windows, which is useful for big code bases. But based on these early benchmarks from OpenAI, O4-Mini is competitive on accuracy while introducing this agentic capability. It comes down to what you prioritize: raw code generation or assisted problem-solving workflows.
And you mentioned Firebase Studio briefly in the notes, but there wasn't much info. Do we know much about how these OpenAI tools might compare there?
Yeah, that's a bit of a blind spot with the current info. Firebase Studio is more of an integrated development environment and platform from Google. Comparing these AI times models and asterisk tools directly to a full platform is a bit apples and oranges. OpenAI's focus here is on the model's core capabilities and how it interacts with developer environments using something like the CLI rather than being the environment itself.
Got it. So the OpenAI play is more about augmenting the tools developers already use, like their terminal, rather than replacing the entire IDE. That makes sense.
Precisely. And that mini aspect of O4-Mini is also key. If they can deliver this level of performance and agentic capability in a smaller, presumably more cost-effective model, that opens up a lot more possibilities for wider adoption and integrating AI into various development tools and workflows.
Lower cost and high performance. That's usually the sweet spot everyone's aiming for. It does raise the question though, Mark, if these models are becoming this proficient and capable of using tools autonomously, what does that mean for the human developer role in the long run?
Yeah, that's the big, complex question, isn't it? Automation always changes job roles. My take is that it shifts the focus. Instead of spending hours debugging syntax errors or writing boilerplate code, developers might spend more time architecting systems, understanding complex requirements, and overseeing these AI agents. It becomes less about the rote tasks and more about the higher-level creative and strategic work. Research suggests this kind of adaptation is common when automation is introduced.
So like becoming conductors of an AI orchestra rather than the musicians themselves? I can see that. It also puts more emphasis on understanding how these models work and how to best prompt or guide them.
Exactly. And the ethical side of this agentic thing is also important. If the AI is autonomously running commands via a CLI, you need robust safeguards. OpenAI's model spec mentions things like requiring user confirmation for potentially risky actions, like file system access. That kind of guardrail is crucial. It's a key part of ensuring data integrity and security.
Absolutely. You don't want an AI agent accidentally deleting your entire project because of a misinterpretation. Transparency and user control become even more important when the AI has direct access to your environment. It highlights some serious safety considerations.
Right. And we should also mention that the performance of these models, O4-Mini included, is heavily influenced by the quality of the data they're trained on. Bad data in means less reliable output. That's a fundamental challenge in AI development, and something to keep in mind.
Good point. The data quality aspect is key to getting accurate and unbiased results. It's not magic. It's based on what it's learned from.
Agreed. Looking ahead, I think we'll see more of this. More specialized, efficient nanomodels that are really good at specific tasks, integrated into these hybrid agent hubs, as they're sometimes called. It's about having the right AI tool for the right job, orchestrated by a central system, probably with the humans still in the loop for oversight.
Fascinating stuff, Mark. So, O4-Mini. Powerful mathematical and coding capabilities, strong competitor to existing tools, but the real story might be the shift towards agentic workflows enabled by tools like Codex CLI. It's less about replacing developers and more about augmenting their capabilities and changing the nature of the job.
That feels like a good summary, Jenny. It's an exciting time to be a developer. These tools are evolving so rapidly, and seeing them move towards more integrated, problem-solving capabilities, it's inspiring to see what comes next.
Could not agree more. All right, folks, that's our dive into OpenAI's latest announcements for today. As always, we love hearing your thoughts. Find us on social media. Let us know what you think about O4-Mini and the future of AI in coding. How do you think these advancements will change the role of developers in the next 5 years? That's a big question we're pondering.
Yeah, definitely reach out. Is this the future? What are you hoping these tools can do next? And seriously, what do you see as the biggest challenges in integrating AI into your daily coding work? We're eager to hear from you. For Jenny, I'm Mark, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
See ya!